Welcome back, RugbyHub viewers. Yet again, the end of another sabbatical, but we are back. The Springboks are facing the Barbarians on Saturday at the DHL Cape Town Stadium. Guri, how good is it to be back?
It is good to be back. It's the first time I'm wearing my Springbok jersey again, and I've gained a bit of meat, bit of weight.
I
So
can
I'm
see
feeling this
that.
bad, but that was uncalled for. But I can see that you're not wearing yours as well. Actually, I wanted to ask you, what do you make of the new Springbok kit? New sponsor?
I do like it a lot. I mean, I don't like the training kit that much, but the new jerseys
No.
that's all over the country looks really exciting. So definitely,
Mm,
we're not getting paid for this, but go and get yourself one. Um,
um,
See the link below. Guri, I mean, today, obviously, let's chat about that Springbok team. I mean, yes, it's been announced. What was that, yesterday? This video will probably go up 2 days after the squad announcement. It's just been brutal on our end, but an exciting team. I mean, let's go through the forwards and see what you make of that. I mean, Chair, Malcolm Marks, and then Asenati. I don't really know how to pronounce his
and
name, but
Tlabakanya. Yeah.
Klabakanya. I know he's visited. Is it what is the forwards
Don
coach?
Heeman's
Don
farm.
Iman's farm, and apparently he's
Yeah.
lost 15 Ks, and the guy's ready to play. So,
Yeah.
what do you make? Actually, it's obviously the first time those three guys will be going up as the front three.
Yeah. Well, it's a big Springbok squad that Rasi has chosen, and I think with specifically for this Barbarian game. Look, it's not a test cap that someone like in Klabakania can now add to his name. It's just a Barbarians game, but he will wear the green and gold, which is obviously fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good opportunity to test a bit of the prop depth. You got guys like Frans Malherbe now aging a little bit. Kutsov obviously had to retire due to injury. Nyakane. So you got a whole host. Gerard Steenekamp is also injured. So
Yeah.
I think this is like the new generation of guys. And I think what a story it is for Ntlabakanya coming from the Lions. I mean, 151 kgs that man weighs. And he's slimmed
Not
it down
anymore.
to a mere 140 or whatever it might be.
I
So,
think he's in the 130s, but still, obviously, I
yeah.
mean, I think Rassi made an excellent point and said, look, they look at all the different statistics of players,
Mm.
obviously, and this man gets around the pitch. He talked about Frans Malherbe, that, he's no FHM model, but he definitely gets around the pitch. He's good in the scrum. He makes his
But
tackles.
you
Um,
know who he compared Ntlabakanya with is Jason Colby.
I remember that, for
Yeah,
being
he
bigger and
basically said,
smaller.
look, if Jason Colby is small, but he has all the necessary skills that is required to play for the Springboks, why can't a guy that weighs 151 or whatever
Exactly.
kgs, why can't he get an
He,
opportunity?
he, he
So,
did the he did the Uno reverse there. Obviously, Rassi always find the answer for everything.
yeah,
But yeah, Gori, I mean, having said that as well, on the bench, obviously, another person putting the green and gold on for the first time is Marnus van der Merwe, the hooker. And actually,
yeah,
the only player, I think Netling Fouché as well, he's been in the squad quite a few times, but he's never actually played a
mm,
game. And then the
correct.
only player that's actually played in a final recently is Jan Hendrik Wessels. And Rassi also explained they don't have that much depth on one, and that's why it's one of the only players that's actually in the squad
Yeah,
that's played recently. But the rest actually also, when we go through the squad, is also because there's a lot of players that hasn't played much rugby at all. I mean, the Lions have been out of the URC. The Japanese
yeah,
player hasn't played in a while. And then if we look at the
mm,
locks, obviously Louis de Jager has been injured. He said we will
mm,
not maybe see him back, but now
mm.
he is back. How exciting are you to see Louis and John Klein pairing in the locks?
Yeah, so how great is it to see Luet back? I think when was the last time we saw him in the green and gold? And it looks like the whole squad is super excited for him as well. It's lovely to have him back. He's a real team man. He was obviously there in 2019. He missed out in 2023 due to a heart condition, I believe. So no, how great is it to see him back?
No,
So I hope
really.
he's only 31 years old, so I think there's
Yeah.
still a lot of gas left in the tank there. And also, just to get back to the previous points on the front row bench, Marnus van der Merwe. I mean, it might not be a household name for us, but I mean, he made the URC team of the season at hooker for Scarlets, who merely I mean, did they
Yeah,
even win a game? So yeah, okay, they obviously won a few games, including Leinster. But he's a real jackal threat as well. So
yeah,
having him and Netling Fushia there, I think that's a good mixture also between some experience with a guy like Ox at least starting and Malcolm Marks starting
exactly.
and these guys. So that's a good combination. And obviously Lewitt and John Klein, I think those two can work very well in a 4-5 lock combination.
Yeah.
Um, so
I
it'll be
mean,
good to see.
it's also, yeah, I just wanted to add there, I think one thing Rassi talked about is having some players with experience playing around, some players in pivotal roles, like we'll see when we get to the backline as well. But he was also
Mm,
making the example here again, like you said, you've got Oxen Marks, but then you bring in a guy like Nkabakanye. I hope my
mm,
pronunciation was okay there for our viewers from South Africa. And then, yeah, I mean, basically, obviously, Marnus, Jan Hendrik, and Netling all fairly inexperienced, but
yeah.
they have a bit of franchise rugby experience. Netling has been in the squad a few times. And obviously, off the
But
bench,
just
yeah,
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. And I think the point about that is that you don't want to get sucked into the barbarian style of rugby because that's free
exactly.
flowing. That is a bit more helter skelter. If you get into that sort of environment and you start playing like they do, it can get really messy and actually the Springboks can lose. So you want a few old experienced heads to, when it's required, to just go route one or to do the basics, then
Yeah.
at least go conservative. So
I mean,
I guess
and
that brings us then to the back row. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that is also where I think like the exciting thing that you see obviously off the bench you have obviously Franco Mostert and Kwagga Smith, which
Mm.
obviously brings heaps of experience, played in World Cups before, won World Cups before.
Coming from
So,
Japan. Yeah,
exactly should a guy like Lewitt or John Klein struggle, you can always, bring Franco Mostert off the bench. Kwagga's got heaps of experience in the back three.
correct.
I mean, we've got Tutuku also putting a green and gold on. Super excited for that guy. He's had
Yes,
a phenomenal season. But
for the
next to him, we've
Sharks.
got
Yeah.
the experience of Sia Kolisi. So again,
Mm,
inexperience of experience. Jean-Luc
mm,
Dupree, obviously, he's played for the Springboks before, but it's the first time for him also to be involved in the setup again in a long time.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really an interesting blend they've got here, but that's what, Rassi and Tony Brown and his whole coaching staff, Don,
Mm,
has been doing so well. They blend experience with inexperience and they get everybody to buy into the bigger picture and the vision.
yeah.
And for that matter, I think people can even cover different positions. Like I heard Rassi
Mm,
talking about Vincent potentially going into the lock if there's really issues. So it again
correct.
shows
Yeah.
they're not changing much. And I think Tony Brown said in his like post-team announcement press conference that they feel like they are much further ahead now than
Mm,
they've ever been before, which is really pleasing
yeah.
to hear. Obviously, let's
Mm.
hope that comments can also be reflected by the performance on the pitch. So,
I guess they
that's
have to also, Gabs, because they've got an extremely difficult season coming up. They're going to
mm,
play the All Blacks away, which is going to be very tough. I mean, you got to go play France in France, and that's going to be a very sour environment to go play in, and and then obviously Ireland as well. But besides that, I mean, I think having Vincent Tutuka there, he just got a South African residency. He's been on the radar for a while. He's playing alongside Sia Kolisi, just as he does at the Sharks. But usually Sia plays eight, and it's interesting for me to see Jean-Luc Dupree actually, who can cover the whole back row and is considered a lock forward. That he's playing eight, but with the injuries to Cameron Hanekom, with the injury to Joano Augustus, um, feel sorry for him, by the way. It's probably the right time to bring him in. I mean, and
yeah,
Ruiz not getting that opportunity right now, but maybe for the Italian games coming
yeah.
ahead in
I mean, I
the
think it's
season.
honestly also, I guess he deserves a chance. He's had a phenomenal season over at Sale. So, yeah,
Yeah.
excited to see him back. But Corey, let's transition to the back line. I mean,
Whew.
obviously
Here we
bench
go.
looks strong for the Lucies as well as we've said. But backline on the bench, you've got the experience of Reinach, Lebok, and Esterhuizen. But on the pitch, you've got a very
Yeah.
inexperienced duo, in my opinion. Yes, Sasha's got a few caps for the Boks now, but Morne van den
Mm.
Berg and Sasha, 9-10 combination. Really
Yeah.
interesting one for me, honestly, really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
Well, I think the games that Morne got for the Springboks already, it's been a wet affair. So he hasn't really had the opportunity to show his speed on the ball
But
and
it's going
his
to be the
attacking
same thing in
prowess.
Cape Town, is it not going to be?
Exactly, exactly. So we were hoping actually to have dry weather, and I think that could have been Very exciting to see him working together with Sasha, who just came off a very, very good URC season. I mean, everybody's raving about him, and rightly so. He's very much a youngster still, but he's got an extremely calm head on him. He does tend to overplay sometimes, and I think that's the importance of having someone like Damien Dalende on his inside. But it's going to be a good test for him, even though it's the Barbarians, to see if he can not overplay and not,
Yeah,
get trapped into the mindset of the Barbarians and start doing ridiculous things. So I think
yeah,
it's a big test of character for him, and I think that's what Rassi and them will
yeah.
have an eye on.
No, 100%. I mean, I think that's again, almost feel like I'm repeating myself here, that combination, but that's what Rassi obviously also said is having the
Mm.
likes of Cheslin and Kirtley alongside, Damien and Jesse, all of that around
A
Sasha,
World Cup
who,
winning backline,
exactly
basically.
giving him that
Or
opportunity to play with these guys. And yes, he's got Morna, who's generally speaking quite quick by cleaning out. I
mm,
have to say I wasn't the biggest fan of his into the URC. I think at some stage he was even benched. But let's see. Some players
mm.
sometimes just they
Yeah,
transform when they
Rassi
put.
really rates him as
Yeah, I
well,
mean
and
when
uh,
you put on the green and gold, you transform. I mean we know
mm,
that. Like look at Sia Kolisi and what he's had at racing. People
yeah.
complained about that. So maybe Morne is one of those guys. I
Mm.
mean for
But I
me
have a
also,
question.
yeah.
Sorry, I have a question for you. So now that we know what the team is like, what do you expect actually from this team as their first hit out against the Barbarians? First
I
time
think
that we play the
honestly,
Barbarians in Cape
knowing
Town.
knowing Tony Brown and Rassi, I do think it's going to be a combination of like what the Springboks are good at. Taking the ball to the Barbarians, playing a bit of a physical game. Knowing the
Yeah.
Barbarians is going to actually still try and come at us, play with flair, kick it
Mm.
around, do whatever they can. We
Yeah.
all know the Barbarians are known for an exciting brand of rugby. What we see
Yeah.
here, in my opinion, is like a combination of having like the Springbok style of playing with some flair, with the likes of like, Sasha in there, Kirtley and Cheslin, Apaleli at
Mm.
15. So I think we're going to try and give the fans that,
Kanye.
yeah,
Yeah.
Rabakanya, and then obviously
I
like
mean, he's
to,
flair. Yeah.
Tuku getting
Mm.
a start as well. I mean, honestly, like we've got some strong ball carriers: Sia, Tuku, John Klein, Lode Jager, John Luke, all of these guys. So I think we'll take the ball to them and hopefully get some
Mm.
front foot ball for that back line. I mean, if it's going to be a
Mm.
wet affair, that might look different. But
But
the
the
likes,
set piece platform is very important, I guess.
exactly, and I
And
mean the
yeah.
likes of Sasha with an experienced backline could also show us something exciting and just a glimpse of the future. As I think Tony Brown is working to play a more exciting attacking brand of rugby,
Evolving the game,
and we've
yeah,
seen
for the
that already.
box.
We've seen the Springboks evolve, and maybe they're just gonna practice what we're working towards with the squad
Yeah.
in what
Yeah.
is not a test match, but maybe the perfect foundation for such a game. So yeah, I mean, Guri, for me, I think it's gonna be a very exciting game. I do hope it stays a bit dry. It would be nice to see a little bit what this backline especially can produce. Um,
Mm.
but I want to ask you, Guri, what is going to be for you the deciding factor in this game? Do you think there's any chance that the Barbarians can come at the Springboks and actually completely knock them off and take a W home?
There's always that chance, right? I mean, what? We haven't beaten the Barbarians in 25 years. We drew them
That's
the
an
last
interesting
time
fact.
out.
That's an
Yeah,
interesting
we
fact.
we we drew them the last time out, and it's a nice team. And the Robbie Deans is the coach from Japan, and they like playing free flowing rugby and offloads and so on. So there'll be some structure to the madness, that's for sure. But if you look at the names of some of these players, we can go through it very quickly. Kian Healy, I mean, he's retired. This is going to be his last game. Will Collier and some, I think they're going to be your props. And then Camille Schatten from France, the biggest neck in Europe, I'm pretty sure, or might even be in the world. And then other exciting names: David Ribbons, Ruben van Heerden, are the sole South African that we
Hometown
have in the
boy, he's
team.
playing at the
A
Stormers, isn't
hometown
he?
boy. He's definitely going to want to put his hand up because
Yeah.
he's definitely been on the radar for Rassi and them. Other exciting names would be in the back row. You got Sam Kane and Peter O'Mani.
Shannon
Those two
Frizzell. I
guys.
mean, actually, the whole squad, honestly, is
Hoskins
quite
to
exciting.
I mean it's laced with with New Zealanders. Keobalo from La Rochelle, who also used to play for
Yeah.
New Zealand. Melvin Jaminet, big fan of him, coming from France. And then Peter Umaga Jensen has had an amazing year in the Super Rugby
Yeah.
for the Hurricanes. So I think there's obviously Mark Telea, Lester Fainga'anuku. I mean, this team is full of exciting players. So
No,
it's really going to
100%.
be
It's almost
it's
like
going to be a
a
battle.
All Black A side with one or two other players in there.
You
With
could say
some
that, yeah.
experience from
With
like
a
Ireland
neck from France.
and yeah,
Yeah.
some Irish and so on. But I think it's going to be an amazing game, Guri. It's going to be an
Prediction?
exciting one. Yeah, for me, obviously, I'm going to back the Boks to do their thing. I don't think it's going to be a walkover. I actually think there might be either way a little bit of a lead built up by one of the two teams, and then it will end in a close
Mhm.
game. I'm going to go
Yeah.
Boks by 10 points, and I can't believe that the last time we've beaten the Barbarians was in 2000 in fucking Millennium Stadium, 41-31. That's crazy. So we really need to
Yeah.
get a W over these guys.
It's crazy actually to think. All right, yeah. Let's stay tuned for next week. We're obviously
And for
playing
you,
against
no,
Italy.
your prediction, don't get away with
No,
that.
I don't want to be wrong. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think it could end up in a blowout for the Springboks actually. So, but I think the entertainment factor from Cape Town is going to limit that. So, I think they might go a bit too crazy, the Springboks. So I'm going to say Springboks by 15.
Love it. Guys,
Mm.
it's so good to be back. Let us know your predictions. Let us know what you love or hate. And we'll be back next week with more. Thank you so much for watching.
Cheers, guys.